So, hi everybody, I'm Alison Williams, Program Coordinator at the Copper Queen Library, and I'm so grateful to all of you for joining us, but especially to the poets of the Poetry Critique Society. We have just completed our third year as a working editorial group of writers who meet monthly, and all of you are welcome to join, of course, if you'd like. We meet monthly and bring previously written work, and we workshop it in a both kind, compassionate, and honest way. So part of the process of our critique group, we are descendants, as it were, literary descendants of Dick Shelton via Ken Lamberton, who is our other facilitator. And so we follow a process that evolved from the teaching style of Richard Shelton, author of Going Back to Bisbee and other books. So I would like to welcome all of you, and as a special treat, before we start fully with the poets, three of us, Gretchen Hill, Tina, Quinn Durham, and myself, have written odes to Dick Shelton, shall I put it. We've all written about the same subject matter in our own way. So this poem, I'll start, and then Gretchen, and then Tina, if you guys want to be ready. So this poem is called Packing for the Poet, for Dick Shelton. At the end of the retreat, he went to the master suite of the poet to order the detritus of fevered writing, the overflow of a furious mind that gathers every widowed line and murdered phrase on index cards stored in a beloved shoebox. The cards are thrown on the floor, often making new poems, bizarre conjunctions mixed with new moments of any given day. He straightens the items, picking out chewed pencils, memorial pens, drafts of new treasures, and a leopard-spotted bra, only surprising because of the absence of a mysterious woman.
Very good.
Great. Okay, so mine, all right. A friend challenges me to write a poem about the leopard skin bra inexplicably found in Dick Shelton's room. It is nothing I could ever wear, this leopard skin bra, its power of sex and womanhood bursting from the photograph. Women who can wear such things are wizards, vested with an ancient magic and the knowledge of how to use it. But neither can I imagine this leopard skin bra on the 85-year-old torso of the male poet in whose room it was found. Still, life, as poetry has often shown us, is full of surprises.
Yay!
The end.
Apparently that bra was inspirational to a lot of us.
A girl can dream.
There you go. This, in a sense, is more a tribute to the late Lois Shelton, who was the director of the Poetry Center at the U of A when I was there. And she kind of stood in for me as my mom. And as I started my college life, which was really different from anything I'd ever expected. And she was just a great person. I mean, like, she offered to type my poems because she thought maybe I didn't have a typewriter. I mean, like, why would anyone do that for like a stupid 19-year-old kid, you know? But she was like that. So the poet's wife, she had the chest of an opera singer and enough heart to fill a double D bra until its cups runneth over. The stripper at the door had nothing on her, but the wife had vanished like Eurydice, and all the poet had left was a young woman in a leopard print bra and memories. For an extra $20, the stripper said, you can keep the bra. What do you think this is, Las Vegas? Hey, hun, you get what you pay for. He fished in his wallet for 2 5s, a 10, and a handful of 1s. Thanks, the poet told her, for the bra and for the memories.
Excellent. So as some of you might have realized, there was a real incident that inspired those 3 poems. And so with that, I would like to welcome Ken Bowe of the Poetry Normalization Project.
Well, thank you for the shout out on the Poetry Normalization Project. For those of you who have come to see poetry, you get to know my other name, Kenneth Peterson. I was born Thomas Bowe and grew up as Kenneth Peterson, and now I am Ken Bowe. And let's see, I have some poems I'm going to read here for you that have all been through the workshop. Well, they haven't all been, but they have been in my mind. Some of them have been through the physical workshop. Starting with When Time Goes Wrong. I feel like I yelled at somebody, or was it the chair in front of my computer, my split tongue dividing up an acrid greed, an anachronism dressed in plaid and herringbone tweed, putting myself in this situation like the other Project Blue Book or the other Watergate, because we don't need no education. Don't forget this fact, you can't get it back, cocaine. The poem is titled, Waiting for the Chair. And you were hired to listen to the convicted serial killers, to live in a cell between them, listening to their sentence structure, the conviction of their lengthy pleas. At first, they would not see you, and even their guard hidden as their broken imaginations tendered in original syntax, your appearance between them in parenthesis. That was from a dream, not a real study. The Undertoward. The paper aberration of the sands, an alluvium of surface washed ashore its corrugated scheme, a pulp of silt, a secret code of waves embedded as particles. The scroll is written toe to toe. You walk the beach unaware of each note as you make up your song, each one forgotten upon the next. Titled The Quiet Noise. A jigsaw puzzle lay on the floor, shattered, during a time of counterintelligence, reflecting the grinning masses, giving up their metadata, a mountain of wheels. The news came from many houses, each under their own constellation, how to pluck the lines of splatter from a fleet of well-oiled skulls, their face winds whistling Dixie. You can also find these poems on my my blog at patreon.com/KenBowe, and you can find my poems on utility poles all over Bisbee, part of the Bisbee Poetry Normalization Project. This is titled The Way. Some of you from the workshop will remember it. I don't listen when they say count to 3. I don't believe the cartoon in black and white. I am not afraid to be afraid in here. These fantasies showing their teeth like fingers in the sandbox of an incarcerated universe. My ambidextrous amnesia clawing two-tone past the warden down that endless hallway, my soul clinging to my body for dear life. Savoring defeat. When you rise to leave the theater, when you've absorbed a character from the stage, will your ghost arm prop up the weapon? Will your ghost face scream in ghost pain your double exposure? When you absorb a character from the stage, eating from the charcuterie, will the flower of roasted garlic speak in a variety of meats to the people you left behind in full display? And I do have one last poem. There's time, but I don't think there is. So you'll have to go find it on the utility poles all around Bisbee. So thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you, Ken.
And-
That was wonderful. And you did read my favorite one, so thank you.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure which one we were talking about.
And next we have Tina Quinduram. And I just want to say, Tina, I am so grateful that you joined our group. You are just such a pleasure and such, you know, still a teacher. You still have all your teacher skills and you're much appreciated as a poet as well. But I just wanted to thank you for that too.
Well, you're very welcome. I was gonna read like my favorite Christmas poem I've ever written and it's like a poem about how two terrorists decide to make the war on Christmas pretty literal and go blow up the mall on Christmas Eve. But for some reason that doesn't go over so well. I don't know why not. But I'm gonna read Beneath Bare Ruined Choirs. And it is an acrostic taken from a quote from William Shakespeare. So the beginning of each line is a word from the quote. And here's the quote from Sonnet 73. In me thou seest the twilight of such day as after sunset fadeth in the west. In December, the dull stratus sky looms over me, and I shiver at the thought of rain, 10,000 miserable droplets dimming my day. I see strings of colored lights across the highway, the stalwart hope of my neighbors at year's end. Twilight is upon us, that moment when a molten glow of lava red and conflagration orange shakes us into staring at such a transformation. From lead to gold to lustrous lavender. Day is ending, the year is ending, perhaps my life is ending as well. But for now, there is surprising clarity. After a day of bellicose winds and uncertain light, sunset is a gift for artists, for anyone willing to watch light fade. There is nothing like this in the noontime of our lives. In the warmth of a sleepy summer day, I trace the inky outlines of tangled mesquite, look west, where day is splattering its profligate finale. The second poem I'm going to read, I'm hoping that the rest of these poems will become obsolete, is my hope. But this is a pandemic poem entitled Broken Threads, and it too has an epigraph from CNN.com. And we're going to look back at this now and think, oh, we were so optimistic then. But as of March 31st, 2020, there were 3,815 coronavirus deaths reported in the United States. Up to 200,000 deaths are anticipated from the virus in the US alone. Yesterday, it reached 300,000. 1. Better seamstresses have sewn dozens of masks for hospitals, hundreds of masks. They know how to wind bobbins, to thread sewing machines, so nothing breaks but me. I am staring at this unfinished thing and its unfinished seams, and I want to finish this one gift for my love, to keep him safe in a world where suddenly having a job might kill us both, where shopping for oranges and avocados requires courage and a broken thread is a bridge to a dark, dark place. 2. I have threaded a fine needle, preparing to hand sew in unexpected solitude. One dog sleeps at my feet, hunched on the back of my chair. A second dog stares out the window, watching for birds or rabbits or the UPS man, waiting for anything. On my right hand, the middle finger has been pierced a dozen times, perforated by the blunt end of the needle. I call it Stigmata of Love. I sew valiantly. My grandmother would have handed me a thimble. She did not need religion or poetry to finish a 6-inch seam. 3. All of us have searched the shelves and emptied them of toilet paper, of eggs, of 1/4-inch elastic, which is what you need to secure a mask securely. My friends online have substituted grosgrain ribbon and homemade bias tape. Some have offered to share opened packages. I'm looking at old underwear, thinking there might be hope. Elsewhere, in Italy, Andre tutto bene, all will be well, is taped to hundreds of windows. Isolated voices are united in song, old hymns, operas, and anthems, stitched stubbornly into the tough canvas of our hearts. The next poem is kind of political, and lately in the national news, the dynamiting of the Chiricahua Mountains to make the wall in Cochise County, like giant boulders have been falling onto ranchers and, well, not ranchers, but the ranches. And the ranchers have brought a lawsuit against the Trump administration because they feel kind of endangered right now with boulders falling onto their land. And I am so hoping that this poem becomes obsolete. Gapes and Bollards, a poem. Dominating the landscape, decimating the landscape, $20 million a mile. Meanwhile, ocean currents are speeding up. Bumblebees are dying. Warm water is consuming the glaciers. It's business as usual here. A world being vivisected, one reinforced steel panel at a time. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Tina.
Oh, thank you, Tina, so much. Miss Gretchen Hill, welcome. My partner in poetry, my partner in crime, and one of my favorite writers of all time, Gretchen Hill.
You're making me nervous. I don't have any pandemic poetry. I found the pandemic painful and hard to write about. I'm trying to decide glasses on or off. This is a 9-part poem for my mom called How to Apologize to Your Mother. How to Apologize to Your Mother, Part 1, The Pain. Before you can apologize, there must be pain. You must hurt her. Begin by moving 3,000 miles away, where you will be swept up in the romance of a broken man. Run away with him, tell no one. When your parents call on Thanksgiving, they will not reach you. No one will know where you are as the miles slip out your window. Soon you will arrive in the desert where you must elope. Pay a stranger to stand with you. Don't call home on Christmas. Part 2, the husband. When he changes your phone number so your parents cannot call you, he will tell you what to write in the letter. You will tell yourself why you are doing it, to keep them with you. hidden in the palms of your hands, on the soles of your feet, the taste on the roof of your mouth. Fold them into your pockets. Pray he doesn't notice. But all the while, your mother cannot call. For years, your husband will wrap his spider silk around you. He will take his time. He enjoys the process. When he screams at you with his red face, inches from yours, dig your nails into your thighs, fight the explosions in your torso, say yes to whatever he demands. Yes to the booze, yes to the drugs, yes to changing your phone number, to paring away everyone who loves you. When he cocks a loaded gun at his temple while shrieking at you for hours. When he says cunt, calls you cruel, says you ruined his life, tell him, you are right, I am sorry, it's my fault. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Part 3, the lying. When you see your family, lie. When you see your friend, lie. When you go to work, lie. When you smile, when you laugh, when you say, I'm fine, lie, lie, lie. Your job is to keep his secrets. Part 4, the cancer. When you are sick with the cancer, let him crush and snort your painkillers. When you have surgery, tell your parents they cannot come. Your mother will send flowers instead, and you will spend whole nights crying alone in your hospital room. Sometimes he will call to yell at you as you lie in the antiseptic night. Sometimes you won't be able to reach him on the phone. Part 5, the drugs. When you learn how to load a meth pipe, part of you will feel proud. One of the cool kids smoking on the hill behind the school. You resisted for so long. Part 6, the neighbor. The neighbor will be the first person who truly sees you, who asks what you are working on and listens when you answer. He seeks out your company. He looks into your eyes. He says things to you that girls in movies only get to hear. And when he kisses you, you are on your way with nothing in your hands. You are leaping recklessly off the dock into his waiting boat. Part 7, the escape. It will be 2 decades before you are finally able to limp back home, seaweed streaming from your hair, scars still forming. Your parents will be waiting for you. They will bandage you in their relief. Each time you see them, your mother takes you shopping for clothes, and your father tucks $50 bills into your palm to pay for gas. Your own relief is the knitted Afghan on the back of your childhood couch, a homemade orange juice popsicle melting over your chubby fist, a mug of Earl Grey tea your mother brings you unasked. Part 8, the awakening. Your friend is making her mother's soup with turmeric and black pepper for the pain, and now you can see what a poor daughter you really are. You are 54 years old, but you will let your mother buy you clothes, not so much because you need clothes, although you do, but because you need your mother. You long to crawl into her lap. Part 9, how to apologize to your mother. You cannot undo what has been done. Make her some bread. Begin by standing at the counter, watching the yeast bloom, sending up its silent fireworks in the proving bowl. It is important to notice the beauty, to feel awe at each soundless explosion, because observing something changes it, and you can fill the bread with this deep attention. After years of your neglect, you need her to taste your devotion. All you have to offer is this.
Oh, thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah.
I'm like trembling.
Yeah, you don't have to
Mwah.
tremble.
Uh,
We're crying here.
I made sure I couldn't see you actually, because I didn't think I could do it. I had to look at the camera most of the time.
Well, that's okay, because we shut off our video.
Okay, I'm muting now.
Gretchen, thank you so much. And also for demonstrating the power of poetry and how you can, my dog's actually crying. So just so you know, she was very moved by your voice. Although she doesn't speak English so well, I'm trying to teach her. But thank you. And next, I am so thrilled to introduce Chris Sawyer, who is not just a remarkable poet, but also a jazz encyclopedia and a DJ, KBRP's best DJ, Chris Sawyer.
Please don't hold that against me. Mrs. Such a floor as she comes down, a leaf besides now what, that the airplane has landed in season without disaster. Families go to tell another story, how almost made the movie, what it was, glued to seats. I cried for you. A bucket or two, but mostly cups, which I snuck and dumped on the next door neighbor's prized begonias. Her dog continues to poop up my yard. I'd put the complaint in writing, except it's not only me. There are other neighbors with other yards. That dog sure poops around. And they are less patient than me, even though I live closest and get the worst. They call, complain, how she won't clean up after her dog. I call it a disgrace and a crying shame. In the latest biography I never finished reading, odd how Frank O'Hara was noted fondly in the habit of dedicating his published books to friends or lovers who, without exception, were former friends or former lovers by press time. A tendency the biographer offers explanation as perhaps subconscious discomfort with publication and relationships combined, manifesting in undoubtedly unhealthy, backhanded epitaphs, a flawed argument, I'll admit, that has changed every dedication I encounter since. Way wrong sonnet. Here goes. The way her hands went into pitches, she talked about not throwing. Sure, she'll get lost if possible, but certain as you, as me, of never meaning silence, lets a whole other problem swallow jukeboxes, of which music is one, only part she likes, maybe a coin tossed or no. There I was, reading and writing along, where else but the New York Times, unworried as clocks around the world because of how Sunday afternoons are blue laws unto themselves, 7 across, large wager. I wonder, these people said to today be found in city rooms with one song playing suicides. What has become of their turntables? Whatever happened to mine? What next? Of course, Junior Jumble. Soon as I get a 5-letter word, A in the middle for Poet Frank. Oh, O'Hara, we love you. Get down. These keys going the way of Dodo Marmarosa, at least a mouthful. Over a few records with the greats who have promise, continually breaking stands by a door. Early morning hollers, write down the music, says didn't bring this humorous piano upstairs to play around more than usual. Supposed to snow, and I like snow and would like to send you some, but don't need to. For lots of reasons I'm not about to go into, like being thoughtless, my tires are wearing, the radio is so loud, I miss the weather report, much less the weather, you know. And nearly New Year. Perhaps too soon, too sure to say I've mastered the Dynaglow gas pilot ignition, which recently as Christmas Eve required many minutes, concentrated twist and clicking before I might elicit even the uneven flicker of blue flutter that meant an ugly or otherwise sweater wouldn't be immediately required. On what remains this frosty evening, having cooked and consumed a fine, forgettable repast, I will then content myself, seeking unexpected entertainment off the internet, marveling at the mighty organizations who certainly have a great deal to learn from my skipped ads. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. And I know that there is something called jazz poetry, and I'm not saying you're that. I don't know what that thing is, but there's a rhythm, a beat, an intricacy that jazz has that your poetry has too. And I really love it. Thank you. And Tracy, are you ready? Tracy Shepard,
Yes.
I'm so glad that you're a part of our group. And also, I just want to really honor you in your dedication to the editorial process. I think it is really wonderful for people to know, how a poem doesn't come out whole. It is worked on and rewritten, and you really exemplify that process for me. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. This group is amazing and chock full of creative talent. And I'm certainly proud to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you. My poem tonight is titled Pyre. She knew how close she came to killing him. Not purposefully, but out of a blind rage. Seeing nothing but the red-tinged black back of her eyelids. Pain has a way of building fires, inner sticks and stones, dead wood looking for a spark. Looking back, she couldn't remember why. Came to, chest heaving, baseball bat dangling from her fingers, standing over him, lying in his bed. Her twin brother, fetal position, crying, holding himself under the comforter. She remains grateful for that barrier of softness and that she didn't aim for his head. Thank you.
Whew, powerful, powerful. Thank you.
Very nice, Tracy.
Thank you.
And Sharon, are you ready? And
Yes.
I'm also really glad to introduce Sharon Strong, also because she is a member of the Free Write group, which James Cool teaches at the library and is continuing. And Gretchen and I both graduated from that program, and the tools and skills in the Free Write group is just so wonderful. So I'm so glad you're in this group too. Welcome, Sharon.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so glad that you have this group. I have 3 poems to read. The first one is called Heat. I sit sweating in the front room as summer stretches towards October. Neighbors' cigarette smoke wafts through the screen that begs for a breeze. My partner turns on the news, and I flee from the blood-boiling screed of our maniacal leader. I long for mild springs and thundering monsoons, cold nights that cause me to snuggle deep under cover and hunt for a warm body to comfort my chilly back. I missed the news of dropping unemployment, sleepy reports of another boring election, partly cloudy with a high in the 70s, Bay Area weather that made my childhood self long for a place where the seasons changed and summer nights were muggy and warm. Now the sky is a fiery red over the Golden Gate. San Francisco nears 100. I sit in my Arizona home in a cold, terrified sweat. And the second poem I have here is called Swimming in the Dark. Nighttime. I slide into the cool, dark water, submerge features of my identity into pliable liquid. Resurfacing and gazing up, I stare at shimmering jewels embedded in inky blackness. This night is warm, still, and I swallow the silence, letting the quiet infuse the atoms of my bones. I try to let go of the darkness of the world, attempt to release fear and confusion into the comfort of cold water on a hot night. My efforts are for naught. Darkness can be a comfort, a balm from the frenetic brightness of our lives. But scary people hide in the darkness. They jump out from behind trees and bushes. They creep around in big white houses and tweet in the dead of night. I swim under the sliver of moon, waiting for darkness to heal my soul. And my last one is called Middle Finger Protuberance. Light turns green, Carol steps on gas, horn blared ferociously. Gigantic black truck whipped around with such venom I feared for our right bumper. Arm thrust out window, finger jabbed into unsuspecting sky, skin barely covering skeletal digit. Longest, skinniest middle finger I have ever seen, eloquently ugly. Not entirely blameless, we smiled and waved into his rear view mirror, causing more fervent insult to be thrust upon the ethers. Was it our political bumper sticker proclaiming allegiance to his hated candidate that caused such fury? Or maybe terror brought on by a sick mate that unleashed his rage and made him race into the hardware store after parking amongst the wheelbarrows?
Wow, that was terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to introduce Patrick Tilcock, who, with his wife, picked up their lives and their printing press and their poems and art and moved here to this tiny town. And we are better and luckier for it, Patrick. I'm so glad you're here. Patrick Tilcock.
Thanks. Yeah, it has been so delightful to be just even on the at the edges of such a wonderful group of writers, and it's great to have discovered this this group. I have 4 shortish poems. The first is this annoying habit of avoiding verbs. Solitude. Persistent hunger for silence. The mystery of being alive or not being alive. Unassuming friends suddenly absent from this cafe. Stillness. Just this moment. The long frayed string of my understanding. The heaped years of my life. Pre-dawn glow. The world again, longing from somewhere outside me for light. This is called Water Damage. We view it with dismay, Carefully, I pull away the crumbling boards, framing our front porch rail, replacing the rotten wood, dabbing a harsh metallic poison on the joints and corners. Sweep up the debris, then remember, wood is supposed to rot. We have this gift, these tough Douglas fir boards milled from trunks that supported sky-reaching canopies. Remember old-growth forests, the great nurse logs, the slow decay of fallen trees, nurturing dozens of seedlings, the rich fragrance of ferment. Now witness this arrogant fool with a cup of poison, thinking to defeat the engulfing wisdom of forest life for the trivial convenience of his own. This is called Inheritance. The pencil point breaks, and I curse like my father. God damn it! What a privilege. Call down retribution on inanimate objects. Oh, wayward fuel pump, you have lost your faith and turned to evil. So many times, my soul's carburetor is fouled with deposits, the glaze of resenting my dad's patriarchy, forgetting his gifts. Beside the elegance of well-aimed curses, his sense of justice, the fitness of outrage. Cars should not overheat. Our democracy should work. And this one is called Understanding. Is it like standing under a car on a lift so you can see the chassis, the workings of the machine? You could be standing under a night sky or in a forest clearing. Do you understand the boundaries of your life? Once I understood, today I stand under a different sky. I understand, but let me not overstand my welcome. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Great.
Thank you so much, Patrick. What a delight. And it's my turn. So I am going to read 2 pandemic poems and another poem. I admit it has been difficult writing in the pandemic, more so than I thought, because I had plotted my whole first novel in the last weeks of March and the first weeks of April, and well, that has not gone well, but writing poetry remains a pleasure. Measuring the pandemic. I watch my neighbor bend her back to the raised beds inside her gate, not a new sight, but still fraught with a sudden glimmer of how to help others stay home this spring. I see a gaggle of 9, 3 adults, 6 children, move in a tight cluster of bodies up the hill, arms brushing, uncovered mouths forming O's of laughter as they linger on my block. Every evening, I walk laps around the long park, see teens enough feet apart, yet passing a ball between them from sweating hand to sweating hand. A couple walks their dog in a wide arc around me every evening, the long leash stretching towards my hesitant hand, even as I recoil, thinking of the tiger in the Bronx Zoo who just tested positive. Lilac blossoms shudder above my head in the subtle shift of warming air and soil, while tiny fluttering pieces of paper on sticks warn parents, use at your own risk. Playground equipment is not sanitized. That was written in early April, as was this one. Bicycle riding during the apocalypse. When she was little, my daughter wanted to be blind. She would walk the house, eyes closed, arms stretched out, fingers spread, mapping the objects around her through brutal touch. I would ask for a spoon to mix my cake batter and turn to find her groping a drawer, then swing around toward me with a punch dipper. I pointed out the delights of vision, the pure luck of being born whole, the spread of colors nesting in the spring garden. When she was given her first bicycle, the bandana she wore across her eyes came off, the two wheels needing the driver of her vision. She has now been inside the house for 29 days. Make that 9 months now, or 10 months, but her old bike no longer fits as growth still continues in quarantine. I bought her a bicycle yesterday to ride the empty streets, helmeted and masked, flowered shorts above pale legs, meeting fresh sunlight after a long internment. I always wanted to live through an apocalypse, she yelled as she rode down the hill, even more than being blind. And this poem is called The Half-Life of Love is Forever, which is a line from Junot Diaz's book, This is How You Lose Her. The half-life of love is forever. The time it takes for my heart to shatter is composed of layers of hours, days laid one on top of the other like the blade of a Norwegian knife forged from paper-thin sheets of steel, or the rings of a redwood tree grown so tight against the next, only the lightening and darkening of the rings tell the time. The time taken from my utter and complete devotion to adhere to your body like a reef of coral was much shorter than the actual accretion of the barrier reef, and more intricate. The time required for that decrease of everything encaptured, the laying side by side, night after night, the mosaic of exchanged glances and lengthy stares, the symphony of whispers and screams. The time it would take to decrease that by exactly half of its original thick weight, heavy as a river, terrifying as an unexplored cave at night with only you as the spelunker's headlamp. The time taken to decrease you living inside of my skin by half is the amount that only glaciers and supernovas can comprehend, that only a galaxy would have the measurement of. In the minute nautilus shell whorls of my concept of time, the half-life of you is exactly forever. Thank you.
Thank you.
A little, semi-love poem there.
Yeah.
So I would like to thank all of you, and that means everybody here in this group, listening, participating, reading, and taking a little poetry into your life for an hour tonight. And also the Poetry Critique group is open to everybody. It meets on the last Monday of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. And if you're interested, my email is awilliams@bisbeeaz.gov.gov. It's also on our website, copperqueenlibrary.com. And please get in touch with me, and we would love to have you if you're interested. And just a big, big applause and thanks to all the poets.
Yay!
Thank you all for being here. And with that, I bid you good night. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday.
Yes.
New
Yes.
Thank you,
Year.
everyone. I look forward to the video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You too.